so that the Maimer is chukas. He spoke with Chalim of Eir Shefa. That Eir is the Shefa is that there's a chelik muhusi, muhus dvarma of the makir is nishtana and it's netak to the makam of the mekabel. Mashik in Eir, the makir is nishar kfishuhu, and over then the makir is meir. So on one hand you see the makir is meir, so the Eir is a arable vad. It's not that there's not that the makir is netak and the makir is slabish in the tzir of Gilui mitzad echad. Mitzad sheni is the makir kameshu is meir, so it's the Eir mein amar. So Mela the Eir, so the Saf at the end of the Maimer of this Chukah Zakta that this Havos is Keich Havos dafka with the Keich in Saf. Leidach this Havos is not even that there's a kiruf between the Mahava and the Mishava. The Eifenais Havos, even we're speaking about this Havos Keich in Saf, but Saf called Saf, the Eifenais Havos says that there's a certain Yerida and kiruf between the Mahava and the Nivra, which was Nishava. The Saf called Saf, the Nivra is brings out the Nin of Ein Saf. So according to the Ramak, bleibt schwer. If only Atzmos is Ein Sof, lefi the Ramak bleibt schwer. How is it Ani violation nisi? Sof kol sof. The Eifenais Havos is in a way of kiruv. So there's we come and sagen that that there's no shini mamish that the nivra has not fisas makam legabi elokus, legabi Atzmos. Lefi the Ramak, since the Eifenais Havos is in a way of kiruv and this Havos is b'keich Ein Sof, come to there's a kiruv between the Ein Sof and this Havos. That's enough shini. With Alter is mavayir that his house is v'keich Ein Sof, but the Alter sagt that not only Atzmos is Ein Sof, but also the Gilui, also which is the Gilui mina etzem, is also Ein Sof. And it's not a stira to the Ramak because it's Ein Sof because Mein Amor. It's not that the Gilui mitzad its own yichus is Ein Sof, because the whole mitzias of Gilui is Galas Hamor, but Sof kol Sof there's another mitzias, not Atzmos which is Ein Sof. There's enough Gilui elukus. A mitzias of Gili, and that Gili is Ein Sof, because the whole mahus of that Gili is it's the Izgalus etzem. And litzad in of Eir there's like a kiruf. Savas since the mitzad sheni the Eir is bein arich to the etzem, because Eir ein bein etzem klal Eir is arable vad. So meila mitzad echad we say there's a kiruf between this havas and the mehave, or there's a kiruf between the keich Ein Sof and the Eilim which is mishave from the Ein Sof, and but that's all mitzad the Eir. And Aniya Vaya, the Gabi Atzmos is no Shanisi, because the Gabi Atzmos, the Eir is already Bavad. That's the Nekodah he said at the end of the man. So now he starts off in Kiimcha, which is going to this point. V'hini klolis b'chinas Eir zeh b'chinas Eir kol b'atzmosi. Means this Eir, which is Ein Sof, he says the last line. So the true musig of Eir, that he's K'meya Etzem Amish, that he's Davak Mamish Imker, means he has no Metzias outside of the Gili Amakir. We'll see the Pratim. That he's Davak Mamish Imker. Vareu K'meya Etzem Amish, that Mitis Inyan Zez, Dafke B'chinas Eir HaKol B'atzmosei. In the Mashal Amati you say Eir, the Inyan of Eir, that Eir Mein Amar, Eir is Davak to the Meir, by Shefa you don't say Dveikus. Because the Shefa, the Seichel, which is Nishbat to the Mekabel, is not Davak to the Seichel Arav. It's a Metzias. There's the Seichel the way that Rav understood it, and then there's the Shefa the way it's Nishkabel to the Mekabel. A shaken Eir is the Gili is not a Metzias Fnei Atzmi. The whole Metzias Gili is the bleak vol of the Meir. There's Galus that the Makar is being Nishkabel. There's Galus Etzem. So the true Musik of Dveikus, the Davuk Mamish Keri, and Lechein is K'mei Etzem Hamish, that's Dafken Eir HaKol B'atzmosei. So Lucha doesn't understand. Lucha the Mashal you say that Eir is every Metzias. You have the Metzias the way it's called B'mkeri, and you have the Metzias the way it's Nishkabel B'mchus L'mkeri. But you don't say that when is the Mitzis in an Eir, Dafka when it's called in the Makar. There's two matzavim in Eir. You have the Eir the way it's called in the Makar. You have the Eir the way it's in this fashion. Here he says that Klolis. It doesn't say that also that this Eir is also called in Atzmos. He says that Klolis P'chinas Eir Zeh, the Eir which is the Makar, which is Ein Sof Mamish. At Kedekach the Ein Sof of Atzmos. Mordechai is bringing that this Havos is not Stam Keich Ein Sof. But Keich Ein Sof of Shlos Kol HaTeirim, like he says in Meir before, like Alter was the Nigar Sakedesh Simachov. So was for a darga from Eir is Ein Sof, the Amitis Ein Sof, which is, and therefore he could be through this Eir, there could be this Havos, which is Dafke Bekeich Atzmos, Shlos the Amitis Ein Sof. That's Dafke the P'chinas Eir, which is Eir HaKol B'atzmos. So does understand what's that's get him Mevarze. Hachodesh is Gal Yisrael Mitzvah Eir HaChetzim. So we'll have to see the Prat. It says like this: the Acharat Tzimtzum as Shaykh B'chinas Madrigas Pratis. K'meiratz Nakai Gavna. Acharat Tzimtzum the air is already Shaykh a certain of Madrigas, a certain of Prat. That means an andere Wörter, and the air the way it is Acharat Tzimtzum also Metzias of air, but dort in Herzach nicht damit es ein Sof of Atzmos. That's already a darga of air, which is already Shaykh by B'chinas Madrigas Pratis. Rotzen in Pshitis in Spheres. Wo is Shaykh is damit es in ein Sof in air, that the air is ein Sof mamish, higher than Madrigas, in other words, that it reflects the ein Sof of Atzmos. So that's in B'chinas air, which is called Atzmos. Let's get to Mevarzeh. So Amna B'chinas air K'meish Meir Matzos Amar Lifnei Tzimtzum who call Atzmos Yadayin means the air, the way it's made from Atzmos, but on Tzimtzum, the fact that it says Lamata. See the lotion over here is Lamata. The in order for the air to be Yitzim in Hashemesh, you don't need a special Tzimtzum. That's the Lechatchila. There's the air begins like every other Metzias which comes from a Makar. The Lechatchila the Metzias begins Kolobim Koire. And then it's Yetzim and Makar. You don't need a special Tzimtzum. You need a Keich Hagbul. Lechatchila. The Makar is Mubul. You have the way the Midas are Klulim B'Seichel. And you have the way Midas are Nirgash B'Leiv, the way they're Yetzim and Aseichel. You have the way the air is Kol B'Shemesh. You have the way the air is Yetzim and Hashemesh. L'mayli says, Ha'er Kameshemer Ma'atzmos HaMoyer Lifnei Tzimtzum is Kol B'Atzmos Yadai. Wie Verta Ini von air, a Tnu of Yetziyah Min Ha'atzmos, there's a Metzias of air, that's through Tzimtzum. And Tzimtzum Derech Siluk, it's a whole different Indian. Means if there would be, we know Tzimtzum there, L'mayla, the Nartik is not pile that the air should be Yetzim and Hashemesh. The Nartik, they have the Indian of the certain Tzimtzum and Masach and the Shemesh, that's just that the air HaYetzim shouldn't be B'tachlis HaTeikif. But it would be air, it would be Yetzim and Hamakir. Mashik in the Nimshal L'mayla, air mitzad Atzmi would be Kol and Atzmos. The fact that the air is a Metzias of air Michutz L'amar, that's mitzad Tzimtzum Derech Siluk. It's the Indian of Tzimtzum. So here he's not able to explain what's the farvas idas take, but that dafka through tzimtzum derech siluk, you have only through that you can have the mitzias of air. But here he wants to explain how mitis in air, the mitis muhus of air is dafka when it's kol and atzmos. That's what he wants to bring out here. The true muhus of air is that it's davuk mamish. A mitis had vekus. Means vekus means that it has no mitzias outside of the fact that it's this galus amar. It doesn't have any own tfisas makim. And b'meili that air is ein sof. Dafka air which is b'chinas dveikus mamish is ein sof b'tachlis. Ein sof which is going to reflect the ein sof of atzmos. And that inyan, the mitis had dveikus of air, and therefore the darg of air which reflects the ein sof of atzmos is dafka air akol b'atzmos amar. Let's get him a varzeh. And b'chdes and b'meili the air k'meishem meir me'atzmos, the air the way it is meir mitzad atzmai is kol. Because that's when mitzad muhusa air he has to be in the ifin of kol b'amar. And the fact is the yitzia from the Moir, he's nif yitziv and he's mer michutz la'makar. That's mitzad tzimtzum, but mitzad er gufa, he would be mitzad ba'atzmos hamor. Not only because atzmos is everywhere, but he's saying mitzad that because the mitzad gedera er is that he's kol b'amor. And the fact that there's an in of er which is yitzim and hamakar, that's mitzad the tnu of tzimtzum. But mitzad er gufa there wouldn't have been such a union. That's he's going to explain on the Hemshech Maimer what's the pshat in that. What's the avon in this? He's just saying that's. We're going to see the prata. It says Upirish era kol batzmusay. This is also this line. He's just saying that this line is also going to explain the Hemshech. Upirish era kol batzmusay. Hainu she'enim v'chinas mitziyaser. U'memeila she'enim v'chinas gileir. And if it's not v'chinas gilui, ein shayach b'shum geder prati k'mei ratzon. An air which is already begeder gilui. So every gilei has to have vas vert on has to have some tzir. What's being nizgal here? Gilei means that the Indian comes in a certain mitzias of gilei. Gilei means that it's being expressed. It's being mekenes der Herren. So what exactly is being nizgal? Masha'ink in the air, the way it's called ba'atzvas hamayir is the way the air is higher than mitzias air, and that air is amitas ein sof. Let's get menzen. If it's higher than gilei, it's higher than mekenes gilei. With what is it air? You have to see this pratim, but that's going to explain. That's the pshat. What's the pshat? Shalei nivra elam. It doesn't only mean shalei nivra elam. B'shafim b'shpasha briyas elam is, but I shalei nivra elam hey is lifnei tzimtzum rishon. Because aschol sabriyas is tzimtzum. Aschol of inyan mitzias outside of elikos of bria, that's inyan of tzimtzum rishon. So what's the given? Shalei nivra elam hayuhu ushmei levat. So the way that the Rosh was in touch is hayu pchinas. What's the lashon here? Who is Pchinas Atzmos? Ushmei Pchinas Air was naif na bovat. That means the air wasn't naif na sigvan atzvete mitzias. The was an Eifin that's given not who he was Bilvad. See, Pasha say who Shmuel was only him and his name. What's the uftu? And him and his name. Yeah, there was him. There was his name. Nothing more I felt. What's the was besteht the uftu? We're saying it was only him before lifnei. Kedem Shnei Elens was only him. Either was Shmei. Shmei was naif that it wasn't the stira to Levad. So again, not him because the Shmei was kol batzmos. Shei kol bamar. Okay. So here, this does not to the nekudas advar. Now he's going to start going shlav by shlav to explain what's this in of era kol batzmos and why amitas er lamayla is after the way it's called an atzmos. So he goes beseder prat after prat. First he says like this. That's min of eskalos. Yeah, we went through this a little bit last week. We'll go through this. K'mei b'shemesh har yedua sheish gam kin ha'er v'asif k'mei shu b'etzem ha'shemesh. K'edem shemer l'oras l'adar maleh mishkos b'sev shebein. So there's the the way it's called b'etzem ha'shemesh. K'mei ken yuv l'mayla k'aviyochad avadi d'b'chinas ha'er shemer mir n'saf ha'lo elemis l'achret since already called tchila b'atzmos yizbarich. This is ein zach. So this is also a chidush davar because in Pashtus we speak at the musik of a davar hakol b'mkeireh. So in it's a little bit harder to understand because when you speak about the mashal midas haklolim b'seichel, so usually in Chassidus if you have a makir and a siba and a mesubaf, let's say a makir and a davar hanimshech when a makir, the nefesh and keiches. The keiches are not this pashtus and nefesh. The keiches are another mitzias. There's the nefesh which is pashut, and the nefesh also includes within itself keiches. You have seichel amidus, you have midis ave. And then you have the seichel, which is not the midis, the seichel which is mechayiv midis. It's two separate inyanim. You have midis is the regesh ave, it's a mitzias, not this pashtus ha-seichel. And then you have the seichel, the verstand. So b'shas the midis are yetzi mechutz la-seichel. You have the I mentioned verstand a gewisser sach is good. So and he has a midis ave. That's a sibah that have a midis ave. The midis ave is a midis shebelev. Al derech zeh you say the keiches and the nefesh. You have this seichel the way since galal lechutz. Seichel is mulubish b'mayach. You have midis which are melubish believe. You have pashat keiches and nefesh. Lechatchila the keiches are klulim in the nefesh. The nefesh is a sibah for the keiches. So we understand the difference between keiches are klulim and nefesh and keiches the way they're yetzim and nefesh. What's the pashat shakvetari? The Alter brings a hechrich that if you say the mashal nefesh and keiches, if the nefesh is a sibah for the keiches, so berega you have the sibah, you should have the mesubah already. It doesn't make sense to say that even the nefesh is a sibah for keiches, that in order for there to be seichel, it has to leave the etzma nefesh, and it has to be nimshach in the ivarim. If the nefesh is a sibah for it, so then where the sibah is more betaik, if there should be the mesubah. What's the reason why there's seichel? The aver ameich is what causes seichel, or the nefesh is a sibah for keiches seichel. The nefesh is a sibah. So you see, b'makam nefesh itself, there's no seichel. B'shas is the slavish and the aver ameich yemot vert seichel. What's clever this? If the sibah is in the nefesh, so you have a sibah for something, but in order for the thing to happen, it's not going to happen b'makam sibah. It's going to have to wait later when it's nislabish in the aver ameich. So the shaila but leidach, how's the check to say the nefesh is pashut? The nefesh is higher than the mitzvah of seichel. So how's the check to say that in the nefesh itself there should be seichel? Even though the Alter brings a raya that im is pashut meir the merach kalkach kolshkin shachol harbim kaimei. If the Eir HaShemesh is made as a veit, in Welt. So kolshkin that you have the Eir in the Etzem HaShemesh, that's a hechrich. The hechrich is if the Sibah why the Eir is made here. It doesn't come from Makam HaElam. It comes from the Shemesh. So if the Shemesh is at kedekach strong, that it's pale even Eir here, alas kama where you have the Makar HaShemesh b'teik, if Avada there should be Eir there. But the Shaila is, but in the Nefesh, but the Nefesh is pshitis, there's no keiches there. Or you say the seichel is an ilah from midis. So if the seichel is pale that even believe there should be midis, Allah's kam v'kama that in the seichel gufa there should be midis. There where the sib is b'teik if there should be the mesubah from midis, but there can be midis b'seichel because seichel in yoni is the avana sadavar, not a regesh ave. So b'hechach you have to wait till you're yetzim in a seichel. In seichel gufa doch nishtak in regesh. There's havana. But leidach, how does it make sense to say that the sibah why there's the midah is mitzad avanas haseichel, and in order for that mesubah to happen, you have to leave seichel. So that's the that's Chassidus Mavayir that when you have the davar is kol and the makir, it's in a different eifin. The keiches akulim benefesh, their inyan is not stam keiches. Their inyan is that the nefesh is keilo keiches. The misashlemas nefesh is keiches. They're prat in the nefesh over there. It's not a mitzvah for me. Keiches, when you have keiches, seichel the way it's nergesh in the mayach. It's a keiches seichel. the makar of this keich haseichel is it comes from the nefesh. But what's the definition of keich haseichel? It's a keich to understand. In the nefesh, which the nefesh is keich hakulum benefesh, the definition of keich hasar, it's a prat in the shleimus hanefesh. They're not a separate inyan outside of the nefesh. The keiches are a mesubah min hasiba, and that's their whole gather. The whole gather is keiches hakulum benefesh. We're not dealing with keiches. We're dealing with the nefesh. But he's saying, but the nefesh the chasiba of keiches. So misad the nefesh there's keiches. So the whole gather of the keiches is that the nefesh is zames sarzak, which misad the nefesh there's keiches. But it's not a gather of keiches there. The other says midas hakulum beseichel. Midas which are believed, the definition of midas is regesh avet towards an inyan. The midas hakulum beseichel, their gather is not a regesh avet to the inyan. Their gather is that seichel is azad davar takif that it brings within itself midas. It's a vart and seichel. So if you have midas which their whole inyan is a shleimas ha-seichel, that's not a stira to seichel. Midas which their inyan is regesh ave. So seichel and yana is havana, not the regesh ave. Mashenkein, if the whole nikud of the midas there is a prat and seichel, that one of the inyanim and seichel is that it's a marker for midas, and the whole gather of midas is the fact that seichel isn't that they're a mesubah of seichel as asar midas. It could be called a marker. Is the Alter Rebbe's kasha in Tanya that where's Alter Rebbe Shal? Alter Rebbe brings that ilu nitra shisla ayin liris lo hayu gash misnev chumrei mamashi nira, you wouldn't be able to see gash misnev chumrei mamashi. The Alter Rebbe says for us come and zen the gash misnev because any basar lanu, and we don't have keich to see the varavai which is mahavad the nivra. And then also talked to Alter Rebbe that the Alter means the mashal of Eir HaShemesh, that an Eir is kol b'makir, b'shas the Eir is kol b'makir, ein sham ela etzem echad b'vad. The Eir waits when it's yetzim and HaShemesh. So now there's two mitzvahs. There's the Shemesh, and then there's the spashas HaShemesh in b'chutz. There's two separate now, two separate mitzvahs. The spashas is a mitzvah b'fnei atzmei. There's the Shemesh, and then there's the Eir HaShemesh, which is nespashet b'chol ha'olam. So someone could see the spashas and not know that there's a Shemesh. Mashenkim when the Eir is kol b'makir, so there's no separate mitzvahs outside of the makir. Within the makir there's also Eir. So the Rebbe says that since the nivra is called the Dvar Havaya, how could it be that we're able to see the nivra and not see the Dvar Havaya? Since the nivra is called the Dvar Havaya, so how is it that the nivra is not bottle? What's that Rebbe's lashon over there? Ich nire. We have this lashon of the Tanya. What's that Rebbe's lashon here? The Rebbe says, "Kol abruim him imkerem tamid." What's that the Rebbe said? He already said because we don't see the makir, the mele we don't see that zet come and send the nivra. So what's that the Rebbe Shaila? The Rebbe Shaila is if you say the nivra is called b'mkerei, there is no such a mitzvah of a nivra not as a prat in the Dvar Havaya. The makir called b'mkerei means we're in the Dvar Havaya. In the Dvar Havaya is the Dvar Havaya. There's no other mitzvahs outside of the Dvar Havaya within the Dvar Havaya itself. As if you had the inner versteht, in Seichel, there's no mitzvahs of midas. It's a different mitzvahs. In Seichel, there's no midas. Either there's midas in Seichel, because the midas, kfish and kol b'seichel, are a prat in Seichel, it's not a separate mitzvahs. Al derez, you say the nivra is called the Dvar Havaya. It's such a, if you don't see the Dvar Havaya, you wouldn't be able to see the nivra. The nivra is not a separate mitzvahs. The nivra is a prat in the Dvar Havaya. We're in the Dvar Havaya. The Dvar Havaya, if the Eibusha says here rakia, the Eibusha's dibur muzneskayim ver. So as a prat in the dibur here rakia, there's a nivra. But that nivra is a prat in the take of the Eibusha's dibur aces of here rakia. It's not a mitzvah of a nivra. It's helping the end for any basalon. It's a different gather on mitzvahs. But again, to something usually when you have something that's when you have a mitzvah which is a mitzvah b'fnei atzmei. Let's say keiches, which the way keiches when they're nizgale, they're mitzvahs for themselves. Keich haseichel is keich haseichel. His makar is the nefesh, but in Yonah keich haseichel is not this pashas nefesh. In Yonah is a keich. there's a nefesh, there's the person himself, then there's a keich ha-seichel. So we understand that when the keich is kolul b'seichel, the nefesh, in Yoni is not seichel, in Yoni is that the nefesh is azaz shalim, that he's also mechayiv seichel. His gather is a prat in the nefesh. Mashayk in air never becomes a mitzvah for Yatzman. What's the uft of air? Air is always in Yoni is this spashtus Hashemesh, the bleak wool of the market. That's the whole Havana of air. Havana of air is that the fact that the Shemesh is begilui is not because there's that a little bit of his light comes into the form of gilui, but there's one behirus, and the vibal the Shemesh is not mugbal, so he's not mugbal to yidafkin et tzir of etzim. He can also be begilui. So what's the gilui? The gilui is this pashas hamakir. There's no other mitzias that becomes. So what's the ufta over there? What's the ufta of the bitl of adavar kol keri? We understand that you have the air the way it's kol keri, but what's the additional bitl in the air kol keri? If the air never becomes a mitzvah f'netzvah, he wants to bring out here one shlav of the bitl of air is that kamei b'shemesh, that you have the air the way it's kol b'etzem hashemesh. The air is never a mitzvah f'netzvah. He's not just staying in uvda. The etzem word, the Alter Rebbe sagt in Tanya that you have the air the way it's called Makar. That's versteht jeder einer that every Indian, the Alter Rebbe says the Hechach in Tanya that if there's a Makar and a Teitzah, a Sibba, no Mesubav, so the Mesubav is going to be called B'teich HaSibba. Because he's a Sibba that shouldn't say that. Every the Chari is bringing that the true Dveikus of air is called a Makar. But what's the regular bittul of a Skaldus?
What's the Alter Rebbe's answer?
We're in Tanya Sheikh Al-Munah.
Yeah, no.
The such stance to that. The flex got is there, Shaykh.
The answer is that there's no.
What's the but that's Shem Elokim? So don't do it.
Right.
What's it to do with this? Tamir asking.
Okay, there's no such. Shem Elokim. I'm saying it means that there's no.
Shem Elokim
means that air is always called.
Mitzat Shem Elokim. There's a mitzias that be'etzem doesn't exist. Does not verstehen? That's the hin bureis of Taki. Ki'ilu the nivers of mitzias from Asma. Shem Elokim is not so pashut. Mitzat air the nivers is always called B'mkeir. There's also mitzias. It's not. Yeah.
What's he saying? I heard that.
No, the Retter, I'm saying he says the mashal. It's the same way you see when you get to Eir Shemesh Lamata, that the Eir is called B'mkeir, al derech zeh, in the Nimsha, the Eir is called B'atzmus HaMeir. But the shaila is, what's the additional bittul in Eir in the fact that it's called? Eir l'chatchila kol inyani is Pashas HaShemesh. It's Pashas HaEtz. He wants to go, he's going here shlav by shlav, how the amitis Eir is the fact that it's called B'atzmus HaMeir. So the first Pashas word you have also in the Shemesh, where the Alter Rebbe says it there is, that Saf kol Saf, even though when you speak about Eir Shemesh, there's no two lights. There's one light, one behirus. That's the Eshem Hashemesh, and this light is not mugbal b'meila shteit reichad begilui. He's also but lepayil. Now there's two. Let's say two modes that this light is. There's one light, but there's two modes. The way this light is how he's present. There's one he's in a way of etzem. That's Hashemesh. And then there's he's mispashet. Lepayil, there's this pashtus air. And this pashtus is a mitzias for itself. It's a mitzias for itself. There's a you say just to bring out this point a little bit. Eira kol batzmusi, the whole nikud of this pashtus is it's all avert in the shemesh. It's not nothing to do. You say Chassidus brings a dugma. There's ratzon anelim and ratzon gali. Just to bring out this. What's the meaning ratzon anelim and ratzon gali? So ratzon bechlal, when a person wants something, there's two things that are in this Hachodesh when a person wants something. One thing is that till now the nefesh had no shaykhs to that inyan. Your nefesh is mufshit from that inyan. And when you want it, so your nefesh now is in a tnuah that it has a shaykhs to that inyan. And then that's in Hachodesh the gabi the nefesh. And there's another thing that when someone wants something, then now that thing has a makar. Till now that thing wasn't wanted by me. Now that thing now is needed to the person. So that's an element is that in the mashal the pashtus, both of these two things come together. If you want something, so automatically it causes a certain shina in the person that now you're in a state of till now you were mufshis from that thing. Now you're in a state that you want that thing, and there's also an uftu the gavi the thing. Now that thing is needed by you. But that's two separate inyanim. There's ratzon elam is that a mensch vil azach, and the whole uftu of the ratzon is only the gavi the nefesh, but not that the thing is needed. That's ratzon elam. In Eir HaShemesh, the Eir Bepashtus, we say when the Shemesh is Meir Bechol Eilam. So now there's Eir, in the world there's light. Why is there light? Because the Shemesh is not Mugbal. But now that the Shemesh is not Mugbal, so you have Eir, the way Eir is Be'etzim, and you have the way Eir is B'Espashtus. You're able to see it, there's light in the world. What's the mitzvah of the fact there's light in the world? Now that the universe has light. Mashegin Eir HaKol B'Shemesh, the whole nekuda of Eir is that the Shemesh is also in a state that it can be made. There's no inyan in the air outside of the fact that the Shemesh also has that inyan. That the Shemesh is also B'Espashtus. It's a different bittul. The air hayetzim in Shemesh, even though calling Yana air is Espashtus HaMakir, but the Espashtus itself is a mitzvah for itself. There's the etzem HaShemesh, and then there's the fact that it's in a mode of Espashtus. And that's an inyan for itself. To be in a mode of Espashtus is a chshivas. What's the chshivas? Now the world has him. Eir HaKol B'Makir, the whole inyan of the Espashtus is that the Shemesh is a great Zach. On Eir HaEichet Espashtus. But that a world should become light, should get light, there's no inyan of a world. There's no inyan that in Gilu you have air. It's all the whole inyan of air is a prat in the Geidel HaShemesh.
What is this in another?
That's what you're saying. That a person. That's an element is that the gabit in the prat in Ratzim, that the nefesh is not mufshit from the inyan. Legabi mi. There was already in his Hachodesh Ratzin to the Inyan, but it has nothing to do with the Inyan. It's all that the person is all a bit daiti that Inyan is massive for him. That aspect of Ratzin that the way Ratzin is the Gabi, the person himself, that Inyan is affected by Ratzin Anela. But that Nekuda in Ratzin that the thing is needed doesn't understand Ratzin Anela. Only the Gabi the Nefesh itself. You have the mitzvah, the pnimis hanefesh. The only thing that's negeh is the person's mitzvahs. So the whole inyan of ratzon is all of in the nefesh himself. Not that inyan is negeh. I'm saying I'll say here, even though there's no mitzvahs of espashtus, there's no two mitzvahs. There's the etzem by Shevat. There's two mitzvahs. There's the seichel the way it is by the Rav, and there's the seichel the way it's mislavish in the Talmud. It's two separate mitzvahs. By you don't say two separate mitzvahs. There's the inyan the way it is by the Makar, and that inyan is also Meir. That inyan is not Mugbal. That inyan is also Meir. But the fact that it's Meir is a separate mitzvah. It's not a separate muhus of light. But now there's one muhus of light which is in two modes. In a mode of etzem and a mode of gilui. What's the mashmos of the fact that it's in a mode of gilui? Now gilui possesses him. Now a world possesses the light. That's already, there's a certain mitzvah in the air outside of the market. Now the world possesses light. Masha'inkin, Eir HaKol B'Shemesh, there's no world that possesses light. What's the whole mitzvah ha'er? That the Shemesh is a Baal Zgula. That the Shemesh is a Greis Hazach. That he's also a makar for his pashtus. That he's also a davar mispashtus. But a spashtus in Gashmi, the Alter says there's a spashtus in Guf HaShemesh, but that's the world hotish from that. The Welt, the Chnish Nenef in Yana. So what's the spashtus the way it's in the Etzem HaShemesh? Because there the whole part of the spashtus is that the Shemesh is Zaman Serzach, which also has his pashtus. So you have Lamaila, the true, the way the Rebbe Shabbos is going to bring it out is, the Amitis Musa Er is, not, in Yoni is not that a Nivra is Magish Elukus, that Elukus is Meir in Welt. It's the fact that Atzmos is not Mugbal, so Atzmos is Zaman Serzach, which also has Gili. It's a Vartan Etzem. And Sazastert Er, which in Yoni is not that Eilam, that the Elukus is Negash in Eilam. It's the fact that that Atzmos is also Mispashit. That's the first thing that it says. The first bit of Er. Yeah, this is Zera Shtak about to say Er Kol B'Mar. We're saying that the Er is Kol in Atzmos, in the Mar.
Why are you calling it Er?
Because it's that Inyan in Atzmos that he's even saving the Mashal Er Kol B'Shemesh. There's a spashus in the Shemesh. The Torah says the same way it's Yochel im Spashut Mirachi Kol Ka Koshkin Yochel Her Bim Kaimeh. So there's an Inyan of a spashus. There's Er Kol B'Shemesh. What does that mean?
The Er Kol B'Shemesh is regular, the same Er which is down here. It's just something else.
It's Kenner Zainazir. In the Shemesh, in the Etzem HaShemesh, there can't be a spashus. There can't be Gilui in the Etzem. The Etzem is Etzem, not Gilui. kind of a spashtus, the same way you understand that you cannot have seichel the way is nirgish in the meach cannot be in the nefesh because the nefesh is pshitus. So gilui is not an etzem. We're saying something else. The mitzad etzem there's also gilui. Since you get the hezber of how what mitzias is there, saying what's the avon of the era kol b'shemesh. That's a prat in the etzem. The etzem is zamas zach, which mitzad him there's also air. So what's the in of his pashtus? When you have a lopel mamash and is meir ba'ilam, there's two modes now of light. There's the etzem of light, and then there's the fact that light is mispashet. That light is also in the world. What's the chshivus of the fact that the air is mispashet? That now in the world there could be light. If the air wouldn't be mispashet, the world wouldn't have light. Now that air is mispashet, the world has light. So what's the air hamispashet is a metzias for itself. It's a chshivus for itself. In Yana is that in a world there's light. Mashenkin this spashtus, the way it's called be'etzem hashemesh. The whole vart of this spashtus is that the shemesh also has the ma'il of his spashtus. That's the whole nekuda of the spashtus there.
Could be a spashtus or
that it has a spashtus.
that?
Because the whole inyani is as a prat in the etzem, that the etzem is not mugbal. If this spashtus was a metzias of being made in velt, so then there can't be being made in velt where the etzem is. But if the nekuda of the spashtus is the teikef hamaker, the teikef hamaker is that's the maker. The maker in Darton is made the teikef hamaker. So you're not going to be gashmis. What's there? The gashmis is there's only the etzem hashemesh. But the shayla is what is this pashtus? If this pashtus is that there's a world that's molly from air, so that type of light doesn't exist in etzem hashemesh. But what's the amitis se'inin of his pashtus? That the shemesh is about takif, and the behiras hashemesh is not mugbal to be dafke in etzem dikaway. So when you have behiras, automatically you have this pashtus also. You don't have the metzias, the spashtus b'chol elim you don't have, because you're dealing with the minute you have behiras be'etzem, automatically you have a spashtus there also. Kolul b'davar zeh, because this behiras could also be mispashtus. But what's this pashtus when you speak about the etzem behiras? What's the Indian of his pashtus? That this behiras is a starke zach, not the fact that in a zulas can sein lichtig. So
and you don't want to call that etzem.
It's not etzem. What do you mean etzem? There's etzem is then he would be if this thing is only limited to be in an atzmistic way. There's a zamasar zach which is only in an edelev. He cannot be mispashet. So then he's only etzem. We're saying this muhos is not only in an etzmistic way. He can be mispashet also. This muhos can be mispashet. So when does this pashas begin? It depends what musa you're speaking about. Lepoil mamish, when is the zulas going to have me? He's going to have to leave the etzem. But the inyan of his pashas al prat in him, that's right away. You have the pashas there. The minute you have the etzem, he's also mispashet. As you versteht, you have a nefesh. The minute you have it, you speak about the nefesh itself, you automatically have keiches, because the nefesh is a makkah for keiches. So the minute, but how can you have seichel and pshitas and nefesh? There, that's the part of the take. Yeah, the nefesh itself in Yoni is the take of a nefesh. Nefesh is amas zak. What's that keiches seichet? If you're speaking about the metzias of seichel, that you only have when the seichel is mulubish b'meich. If you're speaking about what the nefesh is, whatever the nefesh is, you have in the nefesh. You're speaking about vas farasart zach is the behirus of the shemesh, the etzem hashemesh. Is it a behirus which is limited to be in a way of etzem, or it's a behirus which is also nice the form of being beispashtus? The minute you have the etzem behirus, you have the espashtus the way it's called there. It's not only etzem. Only etzem would mean you have only light the way it is in asmistic way, and then you have to have another marker for espashtus. This light gufa, it could also be mispashet. What do you mean? This behirus gufa could be an eifin of mispashtus. He's the mispashet, not someone else. So the minute you have him, you have the davar mispashet also. But what is it when you speak about him himself? What's the yichus of that inyan? The takeoff of the marker, not anything else. When there's mispashet in velt, so now the inyan is that the world has light. That's a different inyan.
Right, so the mucker of Ur is not really.
What do you mean the mucker of Ur?
The mucker of Ur, but the koyach to have Ur is not ready to be in passion. Is really not part of that. Part of koyach.
I'm saying if you would say that there's only the etzem there, what's meant is only the etzem. That means you're being magbalit. That there's only the inyan the way it is in a higher eifim. Etzem means, let's say that it's higher than gilui. So you say the etzem cannot be mispashed. Means that in the etzem gufa you only have the inyan the way it is in the atzmisdik way. In order for it to be mispashed, there has to be a tzimtzum. It's nishtazeh. We're saying that the etzem has the ability to be mispashed. Not that he has to go through tzimtzum for that. The etzem is not mugbal. He could also be mispashed. So if the minute you have the etzem, you also have the ispashtus, the way it's called by. He's the mucker for ispashtus, not anything else.
Why you call it?
Because he's kailed in of gilui. From Vanen stammt is that the mucker is not only in a way of etzem, he's also in a way of ispashtus and gilui. Where does that come from? Because the etzem is nice to that maila. So the minute you have the etzem in, you have the ispashtus also. From Vanen kum seichel. From the nefesh. Mitzad the pshitas nefesh, it also has seichel. So the minute you have the nefesh itself, you have the keicha seichel too.
The difference between this and seichel is that seichel, when it's even when it's the skala, when it's the skala, now seichel
it's a mitzvah, yeah. It's this pashas samakir, but this pashas guf is a mitzvah. Look, when you have light in the world, it's not another light. But it's the same light in a mode of gilui. But lepoil, what's the chshivas now that there's light begilui? That now there's a world that's light. Mashenkin era kol b'mar, there's the mar. This light, this behirus, this shemesh, can eich zayn begilui. This shemesh, let's say the shemesh is a etzem vayr. This behirus is not limited to be dafk in a way of etzem. He could also be meir begoli. So you have to wait for him to have the inner gilui. The minute you have this behirus, he's not limited to be dafkin away of etzem. He can be begili also. So the minute you have the etzem, you have the ispashtus also. But what's the inyan of ispashtus there? Even before it comes down to the world, this etzem behirus is not mugbal to be dafkin away of etzem. He's also ispashtus. But what's the inyan of ispashtus there? That's the milas hashemish. It's not a vert. The inyan of ispashtus is not that the fact that the world has light. It's that the shemesh has the inyan of ispashtus. We're gonna see. There's prata. I'm saying this is you have this in the shmakar in the shemesh also. This you have this pashat in even in the mashal. Even in the mashal, what's the avan of air? That this mahus, you have the mahus of behirus. This same mahus is mispashat, is meir. What's the word? This mahus doesn't have to be dafka in a form, in a mode of etzem. It could also be in a mode of gilui. So this mahus has that. So you have, the minute you have this mahus, you have the in of ispashas, the way it's called, the way it's a prat in him. That's the first thing he says. Then he's ma'amshach vayit. He says actually any daim. He says this is very nishkin pash tazach, but really the nekuda is that the air is kolul and atzmos. And when the Rebbe Rashav is being bosi later, or the Rebbe Rashav is being meirich, the mitzvah in of being kolul and atzmos is dafka l'mayla. We'll have to see the illness from Atat Abyssal today. It was for last night, till late. Yeah, it's finished. Huh?
This morning.
This morning is for being now.
All night till the morning.
You don't take us out till the morning?
Right.
No. Okay. They're for bringing upstairs, Taka? But he texted me this for bringing upstairs in the zal in the afternoon. The failure didn't happen?
It happened. It's finished.
Gathering of Bacher.
It started and ended.
That was the Shevat. It's not the Shevat.
See that. See, this kiss would have ended early also, Batson. The same thing. No, I sing Shabrach. Gut, so man soll gehen ein bisschen weiter, so dann will gehen schlafen ein bisschen. Okay. Actually, in the day, mit Pchinas Hakol B'Amar, the Shiur is a good time to sleep also, der Chagav. In the day, mit Pchinas Hakol B'Amar, le'er b'ziv Hakol B'Hashemesh. Oh, sagt er das. Kein אני משך מהשמש, או בקרחה של השמש, שלא בתיבס, שאין לשמש בחירה בזה שלא יהיה העיר. This is, we go back, I said the next time we'll see it, he says before, huh? We made it. Yes, as versteht man that in of Ratzen, is Glatas. He says that that Shemesh is not a mushroom medvig for air because by Shemesh the air is Meir b'derech hechrich, bal karcha shla Shemesh, shalei b'rtzaina. Mashikin the Maila the air is beratzen. Maila of them is a mushroom medvig from the nefesh that the nefesh is pashas is gilei nefesh is beratzen. Shaila is it's not a chisarn of the mushal of air. That's b'chlal. The Maila everything's beratzen. So the Havana is the figure says in Mefurish in the Maimer that the Maila it's not stamazeh that since everything is beratzen and nothing's b'derech hechrich, the Meile, the mashal Hashem is not a good mashal. The Havana of air is only a complete Havana of air if it's beratzen. If it's beratzen amakir. Now we'll see. He says like this. He says, "Eir ha'nimshach me'Hashemesh is b'korcha shel Hashemesh. Shalei b'tevasa. Ein l'Hashemesh b'chira v'zeh shel air means that even if the air being meir ba'elam, let's say, is shalei b'tevasa, the Shemesh hatish kibreir is a meir. K'mishmidig never bias, nimshach air b'korcha shel air, v'im yata shalei l'hair. K'mekin b'Hashemesh air ba'is gule tivis shenivra kach shetoir. Hainu shenivra metzi is davar behira shenitn be'er shetoir mira b'korcha. Im kein air akol ba hu nimtza b'mtzias mamish me'achash eine me'ira b'rtzenik im shenitn be'er b'briusa. This is nicht kein Pashto Zak, but the Nekuda b'Efen Kloli is that so word you say that it's der hechrich. The shad is like this. I mean, I'll say maybe the end of the word just to say the shemesh is a mugbal be'etzem. Mitzad the mahus ha-shemesh. Mitzad it's mahus. It's also kelo the ma'ila v'espashtus. Mitzad the etzem it's mahus ha-shemesh. Sazam a certain mahus which is taken not mugbal, and therefore when you have behiras and atzmis dik away, it's not mugbal, so it has behiras also begili. The shemesh v'etzem is a mugbal. But shemesh mitzad ir mahus doesn't exist at all. So the Eibusher gave it the ability that it has behirus be'etzem. It has behirus in a mucker dikaway, an atzmis dikaway. Mitzat itz mohus is ein ve'efes. It's not shaykh to say mitzat itz mohus is not mugbal. It's not that the shemesh, you say, possesses this union of air without akbalis. The shemesh is never mugbal. So the fact that the shemesh has behirus be'etzem is ein union. The fact that the Eibusher created the shemesh in a way that it has sai behirus be'etzem and has behirus begili also. That's be'etzem one nekudas, neveah from one nekudas, two separate nekudas. But the mitzvah muhusa inyan, the fact that the shemesh has the yechelis to be meir, to be mispashit, it's not because the shemesh muhusa is not mugbal. It's not neveah said the shemesh is muhus. The shemesh has the Eibusher created it that way. The Eibusher created it that light is not only in a etzem dika way, it's also in a gili dika way. The Eibusher created it that way. But not that the shemesh said it's that the etzem hashemesh is not mugbal. You understand the meaning? So the eid is be'etzem not a prat in the shleimus hamar. It's a separate inyan. What do you say when you say something's beratzen is if the fact that the makir is mispashit is because this inyan is not mugbal. Since this inyan is not mugbal, so you can't say that it has to be dafkin etzem take away. He's also begili. It's his mile, it's his shleimus. It's his mile, it's the etzem's mile. So then it's tali bertzeni. It's tali bertzeni for him to be there. If the fact that he's begili is neveah because he's bligvul, mitzad mohusay, he has the mile of bligvul, then the fact that he's mispashit is because the etzem is a davar bulti mugbul. So if the eid is shalei behetzem l'ratzna etzem, if the etzem vilnisht, if the etzem is not there, he doesn't want it. So there's no espashtus. Because the espashtus is mitzad the head rakbol of the etzem. So it can't be with the hechrich. If it's shalei, if the gili is not masim to him, there's no gili. Because the whole gili is never from the fact that the etzem is not mugbal. Mashiach by the shemesh's mohus is not blikvul. The shemesh mitzad mohus is a nivra. The Chatchila, the Eibusher created the shemesh in a way, he could have had behirus only in a way of etzem. And the behirus of the etzem hashemesh is not a behirus that's automatically kailo this pashtus. The Eibusher created it that this behirus should also be kailo this pashtus. So b'shavik varna say, it's not his Indian club.
It's not applicable to etzem.
If it's the mucker, it's the fact that the etzem is bligvul, so you can't take away the gili from the etzem. Shalei beratzen means that the gili is shalei behesem to the etzem. There's no problem. I'm just saying be'efin klali the word.
You can only say something behechach, something mugbal.
Yeah. And then if it's behechrich, it also means that the gili is a separate mitzias besides for the etzem. In Yoni, if the gili is not, it's not ba'mitis the bligvul of the etzem, because the etzem is takana bligvul. So the gili is actually, the Eibusher created the shemesh with lechatchila built with two in Yoni. the behir is the way it is be'etzim, and the behir is the way it's mispashit. And the spashtus is not a prat in the etzim. So it's not really kol b'makir. Understand this verse? You say in a pashta way, it's not so pashta, but I'm saying, why is the regular, simple havana is that if l'mashal, if a rav mashpia seichel talmid, so when versteht sehr good, it has to be dafke beratzim. Why? Because if you don't want the seichel rav k'meishu, the way it's been in the Meir and the Meir Harav, it's shalei be'eref to the talmid. The only way the talmid can understand is if you're mitzamtzim the seichel. Mitzamtzim the seichel, the rav has to want. If he doesn't want, so the seichel bleibt the way it has been created. In order for the seichel to be, but let's say, so means if the Rav is not mitzamtzim the seichel stays in a higher reifim. Well, let's say the Rav will be mitzamtzim the seichel in a way that's masim to the Talmud, and the Rav is going to be speaking the svar in a way that's be'erech me'ech Talmud, but the Rav doesn't want the Talmud to understand. So hypocrite saying it. So you can say it's not Tali Niratz anymore. Once the seichel is the Fi'erech Talmud, the seichel is the Fi'erech Talmud. Now there's a mitzias. There's a mitzias of a svar of the Fi'erech Talmud. It's not totally new. Or al derech zeh, you could say the shemesh, the shaila is, or they say someone's a person could want, if you want, to be say this example of time. If someone wants, he could be inside, and no one's going to see him. But if he's outside, could he want that no one should see him? There's no brera. Why is it? Because the mitzias is the reality is in a mode that everybody could see him. He's in a mitzias that Allah can him. The amitas in there is the makar has no shaykhs to Gili Betzim. The makar is higher than Gili. Since he's bligvol, you can't be mag. But mainly he's also bigili. So the fact that he's bigili is not because he's shaykhs to Gili, not because Gili contains him. Betzim is higher than Gili, because the makar is not mugbal. So if the fact that he's bigili is because the makar is not mugbal, then it's tali b'rtzeinu. The Idin Gili is not that the Gili doesn't contain him. It's the Makkas Blikvol. The Shaila is, when you say if a Rav is Nishkin Pash the word, but a Rav is Mazber Seichat Talmud, when he's Mazber Seichat Talmud, he was the one that was Matzamsh in the Svar. Eretz Alz Gatan. Once you're Matzamsh in the Svar, you could want to today tomorrow, the Talmud shouldn't understand. Now there's a Svar, a Metzias, which is the Fi'erech Talmud. So that's not only Mitzad, his thing, that now there's, in the world of the Talmud, a Svar that came. You say, I don't want you to have it. I have it already. There's a mitzias of a outside of me, a mitzias of a svara shayechas latam. Mash'enkin, and Alter is going to get to Eira Shemesh. Once the Eibush created the Shemesh, that the Shemesh is not only in a way of etzim, it's also in a way of gili. So there's light in a way of gili. Whether the Shemesh likes it or not, there's light in a mode of gili. So it's not totally b'tzeni. Mash'enkin, Lamaila, the true musig of be'etzim the mahos is higher than gili. So wie kommt das Tag? In other words, Gili doesn't possess him. He's higher than Gili. The Davish is higher than Gili. He's built the Mitzias to himself. So you say Mitzias doesn't possess him. He's higher than Mitzias. Why is he Begili? Because he's Bligvol. So the fact that he's Begili is al mitzad his Bligvol, not because the Indian Hagili has a Shaykhis to him, and the Indian Hagili has a Tfis in him. It's all his head that Agbal. So if it's against him, if the aid is not behesem to his kavanah, to his etzem, Gili itself doesn't have a hotish dominion. It's all his bligvol. Versteht dominion?
That's
yeah, that's the air is avert in him. It's the fact that the etzem is not mugdal. There's no metzias of air outside of him. You heard dominion.
So the lower level of air is the fact that it's going through Megala in another place?
Not the fact that there's a mitzias where Lakus is in the Mizgeres of Gilui. Eira Kol Batzmusi is, that's where it's made the emes. The emes, that the fact that Lakus is Begilui is all mitzad the fact that the etzem is not mugbal. Not that the Gilui contains him. I'm saying is you say Asvara Shaykhus La Talmud. So that there's a mitzias now. There's a svara that the Talmud can understand. When you have so it says that is totally beratzin. When the Eibishter wants to be mayor, he's going to have to go. He's going to have to be create his pashtus. He's going to be in a way that's shaykhis there. We'll be able to feel him. Also, the Eibishter is going to want him. He's all benigla pei Hashem. He's going to have to be lower himself to open up the door. Or right now he's in a mitzad elukus. The elukus is bligvol. We can see him. So why can't we see him? Because the fact that we're able to see him is not because we have the ability to see him. Be'etzem is shalei be'erech to Gili. Because he's not mugbal. So the whole fact that he's begili is not because b'mtzias he's shaykhs to the form of Gili. Because he's bligvol. So if the fact that you're begili is not because you're shaykhs to the form of Gili, but because you're bligvol, then it's tali b'etzem. So if the eid is behesem to your kavana, to the etzem is not mugbal. But if you say shalei b'pchirasei, shalei behesem to the etzem, there's no Gili. It's the etzem bligvol, not that there's a metzias of Gili. You see the lashon the way he says it. Listen to the words that he says. It's not good for the shemesh to be made in certain places. The light, there's let's say the Sachen of the world, better if no one would see what's going on there. The pearl, the shemesh is made, and it's not necessarily for her good. It's made welcome ashpa. So what's the beer? If Shleb Tivas, why is it made there? Because the shemesh by definition is open. Shemesh is begili. It's the same way you have a seichel hashaychel. The Rav is going to say is mitzamsim isvar in a way that's masim to the Talmud. He writes it down in a sefer hesem to the Talmud. He doesn't want no one to understand it. Once the svar is in a way that's be'erech ala Talmud, it's not tali b'ratz anymore. There's a svar shebe'erech ha-Talmud. Al there's about the shemesh. Light is not only in a way of etzem; it's also in a way of gili. The etzem doesn't want it. It's not totally in him. There's light in the way of Gili. But Ba'amitis in our air is, the air is not, there's no separate mitzias outside of the fact that the etzem is bligvol. If the whole vart of the air is the etzem being bligvol, so if he doesn't want it, if it's not behesem to him, there won't be the Gili. Because the Zulas, the Gili doesn't contain the Ini. It's all his bligvol. He says, it means light is a big thing. Means the fact that he shines as b'shafim gvar nazeh. Shenivra mitzias davar behira. The Eibusha created a zach v'shayint. So in other words, the musig of being Meir is a mitzias tekav the shemesh. Being mispashit, it was created l'chatchil in a way that it shines. It was created something big. You say elukus is something which shines. Elukus doesn't shine. Elukus is shlei be'erech higher than shining. So what's the pshat that also shines? Not because shining is a mitzias, because it's blikvol. So he can be magbal in the African way of etzem. Not his nivra mitzias davar behira. The makir is shlei be'erech to shine. In Yoni is not shining b'chlal. He's shlei be'erech higher than that. If he shines, there is nish mugbal. But the shemesh, we don't say the shemesh be'etzem is shlei be'erech higher than shining. The shemesh is not blikvol. L'chatchila, the shemesh is created in a way that also shines. So could you say that the musik of shining is not a mitzias that the shemesh? It's a garnish. It's all the hederak bol. It's the hederak bol of the shemesh. Avada the eir is a mitzias. So it's not a mitzvah advekas, because the eir has its own chshivas outside of the makkah, outside of the etzem. Masha'en kelamayla the be'etzem the shemesh the etzem is shlei be'erech higher than gilui. So what's the end of gilui? That the makkah is blikvul. So that's a mitzvah advekas. Means the eir has no Indian outside of the blikvul of the makkah, of the ma'ila samakah. So if it's shlei be'ratz na makkah, if it's not behesem to the etzem, there's no gilui. Masha'inkin by the shemesh nivra mitzias davar behir. The chatchila was created. The mitzias was shined. So the muhusa shemesh lechatchila is not mufshet legamri from the union of being made. Shenitin ba'er shetoyre mila ba'karcha. The Eibusha gave a tarangesh this gold that it should shine. Vim kain ha'er akol bo nimtza b'mitzias mamish. There's two modes. When the shemesh vert shafen, there's two pratim. There's the shemesh itself, which is higher than gili, and there's another aspect in the shemesh that this air could also be begili. It's another mitzias. So it's not the blikvol of that. Zok man, we can say shesh kemen mitzias air. Meir bal karch, kemek in mashemesh is gut, tivishnet lo yesabir, ze kemet lokasa der khmashel. Meir des bal karch, im ken eish be mitzias er mamish. Kidu the called Davish Hemshech Mitzias behechrich sheyavi begilim. Achshek by yeshne Mitzias behelim. Says that any Indian that's already a Mitzias means if you have, I said before, if you have okay, well, Mizal Sadur again, yeah. We'll go through this prat. But he says here that if you have already someone that has already, if Keach HaSeichel, let's say, was already Nimshach and Ha'efin, that there's a Metzias of Seichel, so Behechrich Sheiz Gal. Because the Mekabel already contains it. Anytime, if, I was saying the Mashal before when you get to the Seichel HaTalmud, the Rav is Mitzamsim HaSeichel, is a Svara which is now on the level that Talmud should understand it. The fact that such a svara exists in the form that Talmud should be able to understand it, that's a vart in the Rav, or now there's a metzias of a svara sheiches la Talmud. So now it's not only in the kaviyochel in the bailus of the Rav. It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to the Talmud also. Shenish toli in em. There's a metzias of a seichel sheiches la Talmud. There's if you have a nefesh, kolzman the nefesh is b'pshitus, there's only the nefesh, and the fact that there's keiches is because the nefesh is bligvol. That's totally but it's mitzad the mohus nefesh the fact that there's keiches. But once you have a metzias of seichel, there's a mitzvah of seichel that's already not totally in the nefesh. The aver, the klal is that the ivarim are mamshach keiches. So if you have a keich seichel, the mitzvah the ivarim now have an access to seichel. We don't have to ask the nefesh anymore. Now that there's a mitzvah of seichel, the ivarim have access to seichel. So if the inyan is already a mitzvah, that means you have the inyan itself. So the Mekabel already has it. The Mekabel already owns it. It's not totally but that's not Mekabel. Masha'enkin, if the fact that you have a mitzvah in of kolbim keri is that the fact that you have this titzah is not because the makar lechatchila is created that he has that there's him and there's the dover hanimshach mimenu. Is that there's only him, and he's shalei be'erach hard dover hanimshach mimenu. Bazay, how is there dover? Because he's bligvul. Then it's totally b'tzayin. Then the inyan is never a prat in the makabel. It belongs always to the mashpia. Has to be totally b'tzayin. He says, "Is a mizem achrichim the keiches ha'atzvim ha'yulim einam mechnes mitzias davar." Because even hayu mechnes mitzias davar, it means if the keiches ha'atzvim, keich ha'seichel, the way it's called be'etzma nefesh, would be a mitzias of seichel, then hayu mechrachim li is begili. Why? Because there's the inyan of seichel there. Vari under reim shedim mechrachim begili shalem. Maybe sheite shedim is gal keich ha'chachma. Ichin keich ha'sei b'yishach zorik ha'hay gavne. So mechrachim shedim mechnes mitzias davar. There's only the etzma nefesh, and there's no gather of seichel there. If the nefesh is mufshet the gamri from seichel, how is it commanded come seichel from the nefesh? It's different because the nefesh is a shalom. It's a different word. It's a word in the mahus nefesh. So can you Meir is vashemish mi'acha shemuchrach lahayir hari behechrich sha'ir be'ibchines mitzias mamash. Means it's called the makir lechatchila has an inyan which is not his. But they get to the you have the way it's called in the Guf Hashemish. The Behirus, Lechatchila is Kelil also is Pashas. But the Vart is the Behirus is Kelil also a Matziv, which is not him. He's also a Makkah for Azulas. Mashikin Erlamaila, it's not the Pshat when you have the Etzim, automatically you have a Makkah Azulas. You have a Makkah for another Mitzias. There's only him. I mean, he's Shailal Azulas. He's Shailal Gili. Shailal is Pashas. There's him the way he's Mufshet from everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and never then is Bligvol, it's a different Indian. It's all mitzad his Bligvol. The Mele, there's air also. It's a different Indian. Mashik in the Shemesh, the Etzem L'chatchil is his Pashas the Indian L'gabi.
When we say like Keiches, where it says like Avdach, it's in the scholar is a shade, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that's the Chayah called what's Musay?
We'll see later. He's going to go a higher dark. But even Kloli, the fact that the Nefesh is Kelul Keiches, is in Nas Adam Saminik Dusenu, it's the Nefesh created that the Nefesh has with himself a certain. He's the Tachas Hashlemus. He's a Bashlemus. He's an Etzem. And Mitzad Ma'alosei Hotar Alts. The Shemesh says no Muhus. The Mitzad Ma'alosei is also Kelul Ispashas. L'chatchil the Nefesh created him that there's and that the Etzem is also nice the Indian of his Pashtas. But the Shemesh said that the Nefesh is also a Makkah for Keiches. The Nefesh is a Shalom. He's not Mugbal. And he's Tachas Hashlemus. Mitzad his Heder Agbole, if he wants, there'll be Seichel also. But it's all his Heder Agbole. It's his Shlemus. If it's Hepech Tevase, it's Hepech Shlemusi, there won't be Seichel. Because there's no sad that there's Seichel in the Nefesh. There's the Nefesh himself. And the whole Nekud of Seichel is the Tevas HaNefesh. Shlemus HaNefesh. Nish behesim zu sein Shlemus, nish Tadarini. Mashiach by Shemesh, the fact that there's a spash is not it's not mitzad the shleimus Hashemesh or the tevis Hashemesh. That the Shemesh, the Eibush created the Shemesh in a way that he's a bal maila, a bal shleimus. Lechatchil, the Eibush created him that there's the guf hadover and there's the fact that he's a makkah for his pashtus.
Yeah,
we'll see soon. He says a higher dark. There's a chutzu coming to that. But Eira Kol Batzmusi is the etzem is mufshit legamri from Eir. The etzem is higher than his pashtus, and there's no makkah for his pashtus. He's not b'derech makkah. Means he's mufshit legamri from it. What's the pshat that there's Eir? Because he's not mukbal. So that's the whole. And then that Eir is davuk. Means that Eir. So what's the inyan of that gili? Gili or that the makkah is not mukbal? That Eir is davak la makkah because the whole inyan of that Eir is the heterak bala of the makkah.
And it said that has to be discussed.
Yeah, for sure not. In the inyan of that Eir is not that the world has light. That's even in the Eir. And not even that there's a makkah inside the shemesh that the world has light. That he's blikvol. It's his shleimus. So if the Eir is not going to be behesem to his shleimus, there won't be Eir. If it's hepech ritzayin, hepech tevasei, so it's not going to be it's not going to be neget l'shleimus to have the inyan. So the whole inyan is mitzad shleimus. If it's not connected to shleimus, what does it say?